Well, it's Tuesday, and you all know what that means. As you probably know already, AEW brought back for one night only AEW Dark with Stocking Stuffer. As you know, they are doing a tour down the UK, doing a show, I believe, in Wales, I believe, or somewhere around there. But yes, we're going to see some great, amazing matches from talent from that vicinity. So it's going to be a lot of fun to review. And then, of course, we move on with NXT. As you probably know, we're coming off after what happened last week. As you probably witnessed, we saw Ricky Saints pull the referee when Javon Evans had this match won. But the real question is, where do we go from here? And who will be the number one contender to face Obafemi, of course, at New Year's Evil, and plenty other matches as well. But first things first, we're going to be reviewing the much recent show from Baka Gaijin and Friends. And this time, it's a little different. Many of you who may or may not seen their shows, they normally do their shows in a bar, which is a very small, cramped location. But this time, they're taking their little act to Shinjuku FACE, a much larger, but they're not going to use a ring. They're going to use a mat, which is very unusual, but unique. So there's some things, of course, are disgusting coming from certain things and other fun matches as well. So we'll see how things roll. And as always, we'll wrap up our episode as usual with some news updates to give you guys updates on what's been happening in the world of wrestling, such as what events the promotions are throwing out, who's booked, what matches are set, including developments that are happening in the world of wrestling as we speak. So let's get ready for another episode of the Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK. Any world of pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also, of course, do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also, of course, do more news updates. If certain information has been unable to be on this episode, we can either put it on the next one or on a separate video by itself. We also, of course, do real-time news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also, of course, got do Nagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool wrestling content as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us and click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, enough of the jibber jabbers, let's get started. So, as we begin, let's start with Baka Gaijin and Friends. Baka Gaijin and Friends. This is volume 26 called Who Wants to Live Forever. Now, many of you may know this, those who've been following Baka Gaijin Friends, but for those who haven't, if you haven't seen their shows, go on their YouTube channel and check it out, okay? It's free, you can watch all their matches. Now, all their matches they have done over, who knows, about maybe a year or so, they've been done at a bar every month. Now, this particular event is no longer at a bar like we normally do. It's in Shinjuku FACE, one of their venues in Tokyo. Many promotions have done a lot of events, such as, of course, the independent promotions, such as, of course, like, well, DDT has done it, Stardom has done it in the past, in the early days, and so on. But, however, in this particular time, they actually did it right there. And this event took place earlier this month on December 2nd, but it was not uploaded on their YouTube channel, so it didn't happen until the 6th of December, in case anybody asks. Now, our first match is a battle royal. We had various wrestlers, such as, of course, Fuminoru Abe, Harashima, Shota, Shota, who people like to call him the Japanese Eddie Guerrero, um, various other people, but it's kind of hard to keep track. But what's funny is when there's a battle, when Shota come out, he's like, "Really? I'm wrestling in this fashion, not a ring." So basically, that's what happened. But it was Shin Suzuki who picked up the win by applying in some sort of like a sunset flip of kind on a monster. But I don't know exactly what kind of monster was that. But yes, so he picked up the battle royal. So it was completely over from there. Now, our next match, we had an 8-person tag match. We have Hagane Shino, Trent Seven Hiroshi, Antonia Honda, and of course, Hagane's tag team partner and friend Chiko Ishikawa. They face off against Sayaka, Jonathan Johnson, and Shivam, and Valiant Aki. So, of course, you have like wrestlers from DDT and Setup, and Choco Pro making their presence. So that kind of sets it up right there. But what's obvious is how this thing was going to roll down. I wasn't too sure because we see a lot of strengths and weaknesses from both sides, and of course we cannot forget the usual Antonio Honda where he gives a timeout and does his usual stories. But in the end, it was Chi and Hagane that picked up the victory when they double pinned both Sayaka, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. So Hagane, Chi, Hiroshi, and Honda, they picked up the win. Now our next match, this one was a bit of a well, if you guys ever see it on YouTube, you may want to skip ahead. They've done some weird things. We have, of course, Ram Kaicho teaming up with Munich, which is, of course, Munetatsu Nakamura from Gambari. He teams up with Taiyuki Ueki, known as Daiho Ueki. They face against the Brahmin brothers, Shu and Kai, and of course, they're tag along with Karate Brahmin. Now they have like these things. If you guys ever seen them, they always had water, and they would throw these disgusting things happen around. But I can't describe it. But however, this match ended. Because if I talk about it, I feel like I'm gonna throw up, and I apologize for that. The Brahmin brothers picked up the win on Ueki. So if you guys ever seen it, you probably don't know what to make of it. But yeah, that's how it was the entire time. But it was a very unusual match for me. Now, our next match, we had a very interesting three-way. We have Mecha Mao, consistent of Mao, of course. Then we have, of course, Tagagi Sanjiro Robo, consistent of Shanjiro Tagagi, who is the founder of DDT and boss, of course. They're dressed up like in robots, and then you got this thing called Minoe Amin. It looks like a cat, and if you guys want to know who's behind that outfit, well, I was surprised and I recognized him. Is Murder Grandpa himself from Minoru Suzuki. You're like, when I saw him, like, wait a minute, is that Minoru Suzuki underneath that? And it was him. And you know what he was doing the entire time? Well, while, of course, the robots were fighting each other, he was sitting down, having a smoke, eating a sandwich, that sort of thing. So, of course, he did get it long and all that. And then, of course, then this match ended with, of course, um, he applied a Gotch-style power driver on Tagagi, and just like that, 1, 2, 3 is over. But however, Mekamau was having a malfunction, so he was just walking around in circles. So, so that kind of went down from there. Now our next match, this is for the BK-G Openweight Championship, and is a mask versus mask. We have Mr. Bueno making his challenge to take on his opposite side, Mr. Malo. So if you guys don't know what I mean, Mr. Bueno means Mr. Good, and Mr. Malo means Mr. Bad. So that sets it up. But however, I wasn't too sure where this is going to go. We know Mr. Malo has done a great job becoming the BK-G Openweight Champion, but he's facing the opposite side of him. And the way this match ended, Mr. Bueno applied a Hurricanrana, and just like that, 1, 2, 3 is over. But the real question is, will Mr. Malo remove the mask? Well, he did, because he kind of converted into a Mr. Bueno or should we just call him Mr. Bueno too? So he's like now on the good side, that sort of thing. So that sets it up. Now our main event, we have a bit of a really interesting one, and I have to say one of the best ones. We have Chris Brooks taking on his own countryman, Zack Sabre Jr. Yeah, if you guys know that these two guys are from the UK and they know each other very well. And I have to say it was a pretty fantastic match. But unfortunately, this match ended in a 20-minute time limit draw. And then, of course, we did see a bit of a scramble that took place. It wasn't officially a match, but yes, it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. But, it was a good fun match. I mean, the problem I had is, with that one match, but also the thing that was unusual, instead of using a ring, they used a mat instead, which was very unusual. We seen with Choco Pro how they don't have a ring in Ichigai Square, but they use a mat. But when they do their big events, they use a ring. So I don't know why they couldn't do the same thing, or Chris Brooks just wants to keep things real for himself, stick to what he likes to do. I don't know, but we'll see how that goes. But as of right now, we're officially done with Baka Gaijin and Friends. Let's move on with our next review, and that is AEW Dark. Okay, AEW Dark. Now, for those who may or may not remember, this is one of their dark matches that took place during when Dynamite first started. It happened before and sometimes even after or in between when Dynamite converts to Rampage. And it's been a long time since we've seen them. And then at one time they actually had an entire Dark show moved to, of course, to Orlando, which is the same studio set where TNA Impact did their shows back in the early days. If you guys remember back in the heydays from AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, and all that. But we haven't seen any Dark shows for a long time. And when this was announced by Tony Khan that it was going to happen for one night, I was like, what the hell? Let's get to it. And I have to say, pretty good matches with AEW talent and also talent coming from that vicinity in the UK. I have to say, awesome. Now, let's begin. We have Isla Dawn versus The Problem, Marina Shafir. Now, of course, we all know that the fan favorite has to be Isla Dawn since she is from the region. But Marina Shafir, as you know, is the most dangerous, capable wrestler. And of course, it was going to pick up the win by her when she put her in mother's milk. And just like that, Isla Dawn had no choice but to tap out. Now, our next match, we have, of course, Kid Lycos 1, Kid Lycos 2, along with Mark Andrews. Many of you remember Mark Andrews with, of course, Flash Morgan Webster, the former tag champions. And they face against a makeshift conglomeration adjacent. We have Mascara Dorada, Orange Cassidy, and Roderick Strong. Now, of course, you would think that there's going to be tensions between both Roderick Strong and Orange Cassidy, but I feel like Orange Cassidy decided to give the glory a little bit to, of course, to Roderick Strong just to keep him happy, because, of course, if you guys heard or not, Mascara Dorada and Orange Cassidy will face off each other in the Continental Classic. I'm not sure if it's going to be this coming Wednesday or Saturday. That's the thing that I haven't figured that out yet, but hopefully soon. But it was a pretty good match. But it was in fact Roderick Strong to put away Kid Lycos 1 on the end of Heartache, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, done. Now, our last match, we have Nathan Cruz along with the Grizzled Young Vets, James Drake and Zach Gibson. They take on the Death Riders, consisting of Wheeler Yuta, Pac, and John Moxley, of course. Now, we know that the Grizzled Young Vets, they're tough SOBs. They don't take any crap from anybody. But when it comes to Death Riders, they're always trying to prove the point. They even try to show who's boss, and that's exactly what happened. But unfortunately, Nathan Cruz ended up on the wrong side of the Brutalizer. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, no, Nathan Cruz tapped out. So we will see later on in this Wednesday, Pac will face off against Kyle Fletcher in the Continental Classic. So we'll see how that rolls up. But as of right now, I have to say the show was pretty good. The matches were good. I like them, even though I may or may not say they're the best, but it did pretty good anyway. So, just like that, let's move on to our last and final review, NXT. All right, NXT. Well, as you know what happened last week, the biggest shocker was Ricky Saints pulling the referee when Javon Evans had this match won against Obafemi. So it starts out with Javon Evans in the parking lot waiting for Ricky Saints, but Ava decided to talk him out, telling him that they cannot do this whatsoever because she has a lot of things to do. Of course, the number one contendership match that is going to be the main event. So basically, she tried to talk out Javon Evans. Look, just get inside. You can't just wait for him out of nowhere. And of course, he did. Now, we opened up with the NXT Women's North American title. Blake Monroe versus Thea Hell. Now, remember, last week there was supposed to be an open challenge from Blake Monroe, but it was Thea Hell who kind of answered it, but no match has started. The referee did not make anything, but the question was because what Thea Hell did by putting her in a Kimura lock, it sets off a lot of, how do I say, speculations on how will Blake Monroe do it. Yes, I mean, that would have been the case. But the most interesting thing is, um, Dia apply like a springboard reversal senton. I remember the senton bomb is when you jump ahead, like pushing your body over this way, and you land on your back. Well, instead she used like a reversal type with the springboard going backwards like that. I don't know if that's the case, and they may have been a botch moment, but the match was over, got turned into a pinfall, and somehow it went up to the hell. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but WWE has made it clear that there may have been some mistake or decisions, whatever the scenario is. But yes, so regardless of that, the Hell became the new Women's North American Champion. Now, the Culling, as you know, are trying to move forward, believing they finally got rid of Tatum Paxley. But the real question is, have they? Because it seems Nico Vance is playing around with her dolls, that sort of thing. So we'll see what happens. Now, Ethan Page, as you know, he is not in a good mood. One of the problems that Ethan Page has been dealing now, he has been, how to say, defending the championships left and right. But the one thing that he cannot understand is, of course, the Don of NXT, Tony D'Angelo. Like, he wants to know why did he attack them. Well, we don't know the answer to that. But however, his former underboss, along with his fiancee Ariana Grace, showed up. Now, of course, Stacks could try to take an uneducated guess what the Don is thinking, but however, that's not what he has in mind. Apparently, he and his lovely fiance they want the AAA mixed tag team belts that he and Chelsea Green have. And then, of course, we did see Moose, who makes his presence known. Now, many of us thought that he might be aiming for Ethan Page, but nope. It seemed, well, I mean, for Edge, but for Stacks, my bad. So he was aiming for Stacks, but it seems that he is after now Ethan Page for the North American title. And of course, all hell broke loose. And I'm sure right now this is the last thing that Ethan Page need is an TNA person and making his way there. So that's the one thing he doesn't want. Now, Leon Sitter, as you know, has been trying to talk out, of course, Javon Evans from doing what he was doing, waiting for Ricky Saints, but he needs him in his corner, preparing himself for the biggest match of his life to hopefully become number one contender. So we'll see how that race. But as soon as that happened, we jumped into our next match. Hank and Tank taking on OTM. Now, these two teams have faced off before, but the real question is how much have they changed? I mean, we know that Hank and Tank recently did, of course, a Pro Wrestling Noah tour, and they became GHC Tag Team Champions. We know that they have done better, but the real question is OTM. They are a strong, powerful team, powerhouse, and they can definitely put you down. But then they put everything on the line. They even try to take these guys down. But it was an inside cradle by Hank to put away, of course, for, Bronco Lima, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Now, we did see, of course, during at some point an SUV making its way. It turned out it was Ricky Saints with the security making his presence known. So we're going to hear from what he has to say. Now, General Manager Ava, as you know, was talking to Jasper Troy. Apparently now they're setting up another speed tournament to determine who will be the next challenger to challenge for the WWE Speed Championship against Jasper Troy. But Troy, he doesn't think it seems too concerned knowing that one way or the other, whoever walks out is going to be stomped on. And of course, that is the possibility. Now we head to the ring where, of course, Ricky Saints make his reasons why he did what he did. Why did he try to do exactly? Well, he felt that Javon Evans was jumping the line, like taking things way too fast. And that was the problem he had. And he thought he was doing the right thing for himself. But however, Javon Evans showed up and took matters in own hands. Even security tried to get involved. But Ricky Saints got the better of him and then put him on a Rochambeau through the commentary table. And just like that, he dismantled him. But the real question is Javon Evans going to be okay? I wouldn't be surprised if those two will tangle with each other on New Year's Eve by at January 6th. So we'll see how that rolls up. Now, General Manager Ava was talks with, of course, Soruka and Zarya about their upcoming match. But however, they were interrupted by Ethan Page complaining about first he has to deal with the Don, now with of course, Stacks, and then finally, of course, Moose, that sort of thing. And then Chelsea Green decided to show up, running like a drama queen that she is. Concerns over the fact that now that the AAA mixed tag team belts are now in sights from another team. However, Ava told that there's going to be a match taking place soon between both Chelsea Green defending the United States title against Soruka. As for Ethan Page, he'll be defending the North American title, so that sets it up right there. Now, our next match, we have the Fatal Influence, Laney Reed and Fallon Henley taking on Ren Sinclair and Kendall Gray. Now, remember, Kendall Gray is the Iron Survival Challenge winner and will be facing JZ Jane for the NXT Women's Championship. And of course, the one thing that JZ Jane does not want is to lose the belt to someone like Kendall Gray. She wants to prove that this was her time and there's no one can do to take that away. We have seen Kendall Gray on a roll. She has done fantastic job even becoming the Evolve Women's Champion. But of course, when it comes to JZ Jane, she tried to get involved, but didn't work. Apparently, it was, of course, Ren Sinclair that took her and Fallon Henley out. But he gave, of course, Kendall Gray the opportunity and the opening to apply an armbar onto Laney Reed. And just like that, she tapped out and Kendall Gray won the match. Now, we did see, of course, an interview with Kelly Kincaid, talking to Thea Hale winning the title. And of course, Jordan Gray showed up like, I told you that if you believe in it, things could happen. And then Blake Monroe, being all like dramatic, wants her belt back. So, and of course, Jordan Grace had to give her a piece of her mind because we all know what happened between both Jordan Grace and Blake Monroe not too long ago. But we'll see how that comes around. Now we head to the women's locker room. We did see Easy Dame saying she's looking for Nico Vance, but apparently she can't find him. And then of course there was a doll in her locker room, and she has a reason to believe that somehow Tatum Paxley got to Nico Vance. But Lola Vice kind of told her, that you better keep, your boys closer because who knows what Tatum Paxley might do. But Izzy Dame doesn't think that that's going to happen, but who knows. And then Kalani Jordan make her way back to the locker room. Now remember, months ago, she was kicked out of the women's locker room due to becoming a turncoat when she teamed up with TNA. And now she's reclaiming what she felt is her spot that she wants to earn. So we'll see what happens until then. Now we did see, of course, Shala Hill and Skylar Rave, as you know, from the LFG. They actually were having a nice conversation until they were interrupted by Stax and Ariana Grace. But however, of course, they decided to put themselves in a bit of a warm-up for their mixed tag team belts taking place soon, but hopefully. But however, that thing had to make clear because Dark State were making their way to the ring, because that's where we jump into our main event. Now, our main event is the NXT Championship in the #1 contendership at New Year's Evil. We have Miles Bourne versus Leon Slater versus Joe Hendry versus Dion Lennox. So, of course, it becomes chaotic. Now, of course, with this type of match, you know that anything is a possibility how this would end. I wasn't too sure. I mean, part of me would think that maybe there's a possibility either Joe Hendry or Miles Bourne could walk away, or possibly Dion Lennox. But, of course, we did see some moments where Dion Lennox is determined to win no matter what, and that's exactly what he tried. But unfortunately, things didn't go well because it was Leon Slater with the Swanton 450 onto Miles Bourne, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Leon Slater is heading to New Year's Evil. However, of course, Obafemi showed up at the post match, tried to take a good look at his opponent. But however, in the stands, I don't know if I don't know if these two men saw it. Well, Tony D'Angelo saw it perfect clear. Now, does this mean that Tony D'Angelo wants the title, or who knows what he's going through his head? But we will see what happens. But as of right now, we'll leave things as it is with our reviews. We're officially done. Let's move on with our last and final thing, news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news update. So let's begin with upcoming events, and we have two updates on that. Now, as you know, Jersey Championship Wrestling will have their Power Slam event on the 1st of February. It was announced that the GCW World title, the newly crowned champion, Atticus Cogar, will defend it against Bear Bronson. So that's going to be one hell of a match. And then, as you all know, on February 20th, Prestige Wrestling will have their final show before they go on hiatus. Now, they have already announced their first participation, and this will be the last time we'll see him for now. If whenever Prestige Wrestling returns, they announce Murder Grandpa Minoru Suzuki to participate. So that's going to be one hell of a match. Now, on to some developments. As you all know, every year in Tokyo Sports, which is a organization that follows sports and including pro wrestling as well, this was a very interesting thing that happened. Suri, many of you know her as NXT Saray, has won Fighting Spirit Award, and this is the first time ever a female won an award from Tokyo Sports. Majority of the awards were won by men, but she's the first woman to actually done it. And as you all know, this category dates back all the way to 1974. So congratulations, Suri, on this award. However, Suri is not the only female who won an award from Tokyo Sports, and of course the woman who won, the female wrestler who won MVP award from Tokyo Sports, it's Saya Kamitani, and she's also the very first. So basically, yes, Saya Kamitani is the first ever female to win the MVP award from Tokyo Sports. So this is a very, very interesting thing that's been going on, and we're very happy for these women to finally make it there. Now, Trent Seven, many of you may know him as Mustache Mountain with, of course, Tyler Bates. Well, he just raised about 5 million pounds to launch his own European wrestling promotion. Now, it's still unclear when it's going to happen, but I'm very curious what he's going to do. What's the plan here? Now, Kizuna Tanaka, many of you know her from Mighty Gold. Well, unfortunately, she had to withdraw from two events from Mighty Gold on December 20th and December 21st. The reason is because, as you all know, not too long ago, she had back problems. She injured herself, and apparently she's been having symptoms, and she had to make a cautionary decision to withdraw in order to hopefully heal from it. Now, the last thing anybody will need to hear is that she needs to stop wrestling. I just hope she gets enough rest. I hope things are okay with her. I mean, we know that she's a second generation wrestler. She wants to finish off what her mother couldn't. Many of you may not know this. Her mother injured herself and caused her to retire early. So that sets it up right there. And I hate to see that Kizuna Tanaka go in that same kind of, predicament that her mother went. So we'll see how things roll. So speedy recovery, Kizuna. Now, many of you know him, Stephen Borden Jr., also known as Sting's son. Fightful Select reports that they talked to AEW sources about the possibility of him being signed with AEW. Now, we haven't heard anything yet, but there is the possibility about that. But some people say that he may not be ready. As you know, he just barely started out. He just recently did a dark match in AEW, and many people have given him, of course, the stamp of approval. But we'll see what time will tell. I'm sure many fans will love to see what the son of the icon can do. So, yeah. Now, on to more of our developments here. Kyle Fletcher recently was speaking, recalling on the Chris Van Beat show about speaking with WWE before signing with AEW, and this is what he had to say. We had one kind of official call. At the time, it was myself and Mark Davis as Aussie Open. We had like a Zoom call with them. We spoke about what deal would entail, that sort of thing. And I think it got to the point where it just didn't feel like the right fit at the time. We didn't get super close. It was kind of like at the point where there was options there, but AEW was just the right fit for us. So yeah, of course, WWE definitely would want to sign them, and of course, they want to have a good deal. And it looks like it wasn't the right fit, and it's understandable. And some people can say they make the mistake going to AEW, but it was their prerogative. But he also confirmed something on the Chris Van Vliet show that he just recently re-signed with AEW, and this is what he had to say. I did re-sign a new contract with AEW this year. Man, it felt like it felt really cool. I was on the beach in Jamaica when I was signed my contract. It's pretty surreal. It was one of those moments that I had my whole life signing that first big deal. I gave my bit of like, I hate throwing around big buzzwords, but imposter syndrome. It made me feel like I was like, man, when I grow up, I thought were gonna be the one of two people these kinds of contracts in the world of professional wrestling, and here I am. It's very, it's a very weird feeling. It's very weird to realize, like, man, this spot I'm in is pretty big. It's pretty special. Not a lot of people can get this kind of level. I mean, it's true. I mean, you would think that it's impossible to make it, and it's like very surreal. It's very understandable. Now, Alex Windsor, many of you know her. She gives a quick update on her fiance, Will Ospreay. As you all know, he is currently out of action due to an injury. And this is what she had to say, and she talked about this on a podcast interview. Of course, it's been struggling for him, but he's doing well. It's no surprise. He's absolute smashing it. And I personally think he'll be back better than ever. I have no doubt about it in my mind. So yes, Alex is confident enough to say that he'll be back in no time, and of course, many of us are ready to see what he's going to do next. Now, many of you know Queen Aminata has been out of action due to a neck injury, and she had to withdraw from the women's pure wrestling title tournament. And she just gave a quick update on her YouTube vlog about this. This is what she had to say. My neck isn't something I'm willing to gamble with. So when I came back, I'm going to come back better, stronger, juicier, and sexier. Between seeing the chiropractor, seeing massage therapist, and training in the gym, let me tell you, this schedule is hard, it's tight, recovery is not easy, but my neck is doing a lot better. But we are not quite there yet. So yes, she's giving a great update that she's seeing a chiropractor, going through massage therapist, the gym. She knows that she's getting better, but she's not ready to do so because you have to be 100% better to get back in the ring. So we'll be seeing what happens from there. And finally, many of you may have heard what happened with Mick Foley. He parted ways with WWE. Now, some people will say that it's messed up of him. And this is the thing we always talk about when it comes to pro wrestling. Leave the effing politics out of it. We don't need this kind of crap, and that's one of the things we don't like. If you guys don't know what I'm referring to, it seems that it's been reported that Donald Trump, our president, will be making appearances if it's possible, and Mick Foley has no wants no big of it. And you may ask yourselves, why would he do this? And he just recently went on his social media and explained it to himself. And let me put it up. While I have been concerned about WWE's close relationship with Donald Trump for several months, especially in the light of his administration's ongoing cruel and humane treatment of immigrants and pretty much anyone who looks like an immigrant. Reading the president's incredible cruel comments in the wake of Rob Reiner's death, it's the final straw for me. I no longer wish to represent the company that coddles a man so seemingly void compassion as he marches our country towards atrocity. Last night I informed WWE Talent Relations that I will not be making any appearance for the company as long as this man remain in office. And additionally, I will not be signing a new Legends deal when my current one expires in June. I love WWE, will always treasure my time with them, and I am deeply appreciative for all the opportunities they afford for me. But it's not the words of Popeye the Sailor. I stand all I can stand, and I can stand no more. So yeah. So basically, if you all heard about what happened with this director, what's his name again? Um, Rob Reiner. He and his wife were brutally murdered by their son, and of course, our president actually had some remarks to say about him, and that's of course anybody can take a final straw of what they have to say, and of course we do know about the relationship with WWE and Donald Trump, and I understand that Mick Foley doesn't want to be part of that type of thing where WWE is now associating themselves with Donald Trump, and that's something we often say. We don't need politics in wrestling. We don't need politics in sports. Just let wrestling be wrestling, sports be sports, and that's the thing that we all can agree on. If no one wants to listen, well, that's their own damn fault. So we'll see how things will progress. I know some people will say, "Will Mick Foley make appearance in AEW?" Well, we do know that Mick Foley's Legend deal expires in June, so we'll see what happens from there. But we'll see. So until then, let's call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, as you know, we have AEW making their way to, of course, Manchester, doing a little bit of a UK tour. And I can't wait what's going to happen. Now, remember, this is going to be a 3 hour show, just to let you guys know. And I think we're also going to be doing Evolve. Now, I'm considering also catching up with the recent Stardom events that happened this past weekend, but we'll see how things will roll from there. So, cross my fingers. But the priority is Evolve and AEW. So let's see how things will roll from there. But as of right now, we'll end things here. And until then, I will see you guys in the next DWZ time, same DWZ channel. I'm as little of you adieu. So goodbye and have a nice day. Bang.